got it, girly?
Jab, jab, cross, hook. And you do uppercuts, push-ups, sit-ups, you name it. Anything hard, we do it. Everything, burpees. Everybody loves to hate them.
I started to notice that my wife, things were changing about my wife.
You have Parkinson's? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I work so hard with you. And he's like, I didn't know. So a lot of people don't know I have Parkinson's. I was diagnosed when I was 44. That was 6 years ago. I was told that it wasn't a death sentence, it was a life sentence.
Good, let's do it.
And then one doctor told me I'd never hold grandbabies.
As you start to study about it, you find out that it's a devastating disease that just slowly destroys. And you're watching, and you don't know what to do.
I was falling down a lot. Like if I lost my balance, I was on the floor. And
it's painful. It's painful to want to help your spouse and knowing that you can't.
I've never boxed before. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I never thought I could be mean or hit a bag hard or.
It was the last thing I would ever think my wife could ever do is be a boxer.
I didn't know if it was going to be for me, but I knew I had to do something.
She's amazing. I will never forget. She was literally the very first person to contact me about this affiliate opening. The main thing for me, like I see a million physical differences in her, how hard she can work out, how fast she can run, how many burpees she can do. That's all improved. Her confidence level is just through the roof.
I thought, wow, this might work. And as she kept going to rock steady, she kept coming home. And as the medication mixtures got right, she changed. And I got my wife back. She came back.
1, 2, rock 2, 1,
People
2,
ask me, what does your
two.
wife do? And I say, she's a boxing coach. And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, she's a boxing coach.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good.
If you would have told me that day that I first met her that she would be a certified rock-steady boxing coach leading her own classes, I would probably not have believed it at that time.
She is an inspiration. Complete inspiration to these people she's working with and with me and my family. My hero, total hero.
Artifacts from another era. Technology left in the past. These staples of a family movie night have been replaced, but the tapes live on eBay. A search for Disney VHS delivers these results. You are seeing that correctly. That Beauty and the Beast tape is listed for $15,000. We went to an expert.
I was wheeling and dealing comic books back in grade school.
Ken Sanders has been collecting Disney memorabilia for decades.
You know, I've been involved in it since the 1960s, peripherally. The only difference then and now just adds zero to all the prices.
So does that mean the value of this VHS actually has a lot of zeros?
It's being sold for $15,000.
No,
and I
quit
bought it.
saying it like that.
I bought it for $1.
Somebody's asking price is $15,000.
Just because a seller is asking that price.
My definition of eBay is a mighty confluence where ignorance meets greed.
Doesn't mean they'll get anything close.
So I didn't make a fortune at the DI for 50 cents or $1.
Oh, I'm sure it's worth $10. Percentage-wise, that's pretty high, isn't it?
Ken showed us some items.
It's just beautiful art and storytelling.
These classic comics.
This was the only comic book in the 1950s my mother allowed me to subscribe to.
Are rare.
This is one of my favorite characters of all time of Disney, Uncle Scrooge.
And valuable.
They're printed on the cheapest kind of pulp paper that exists. They are turning to dust as we watch them.
Sanders says most things produced after the 1960s or 70s.
Manufacturers began creating what I call manufactured rarities.
Just don't have the allure.
One of only 25 million copies made.
Of the true classics.
They really started manufacturing for the collector market. And to me, that's the death of real collecting.
Stuff you buy at Disneyland and those VHS tapes are mass-produced.
It's manufactured garbage.
So while they may not help you pay off your car,
and if anybody's telling you you should be collecting this because it's good and a good investment, run the other direction.
You just can't put a price.
You know, every generation is nostalgic for your own generation's youth.
On their sentimental value.
Always buy what you like and you love. And that way, as long as you get enjoyment out of it, that's the only reason to collect. These are kind of average copies.
Can you trust it? That 5-star review about a hot new restaurant? Or how about that 1-star review claiming the food was terrible? The answer, you can't just look at that score. There's another number you have to check out first. Prepping for dinner at Harbor Seafood and Steak in Salt Lake City. There is a rhythm to the rush.
We just started out as waiters here in town, waiting tables at another restaurant.
Randall Curtis has passion from years of rising from waiter to owner.
You really have to be focused on the details of service, food, drinks.
Details like what your customers are tasting and what they're saying.
I think with reviews, it's a good way to get the pulse of your restaurant, what's going on.
A pulse that can come to a screeching halt.
So when we first opened, we had a manager from another restaurant that came in and they wrote a pretty negative review.
The food fight isn't always fair. On your table, competitors posting false reviews. Customers claiming the food on their plate wasn't cooked right. But it's not even food that's on the menu.
There's those reviews out there. They're definitely, you feel some helplessness. The defamation they can do to your business can be very costly.
How costly is each star on Yelp?
Increasing your Yelp rating by 1 star is causally associated with a 9% increase in your revenue, at least for restaurants, right?
Yorgos Zervas is an assistant professor at Boston University and a leading researcher on Yelp reviews.
Every business pretty much is on Yelp. They have no way to opt out.
His research shows it's not fake bad reviews crowding the table, it's fake good reviews that can spill over. The rhythm is a bit different at Fillings and Emulsions Bakery.
We're not the old-fashioned bakery that used to do the same thing.
Lemon raspberry tarts, chocolate decadence, Cuban meat pies.
We call ourselves a Latin and eclectic patisserie.
A patisserie based in Salt Lake City, getting worldwide recognition.
We also were named just a few days ago number 10 bakery in the United States by Yelp.
Fillings and Emulsions has 287 Yelp reviews, sitting at a perfect 5 stars.
If you are an owner and you're trying to get good reviews and you're trying to get people to write good reviews for you, they disappear. Yelp will remove them.
Yelp wipes off about 25% of the reviews as potentially false. Still, fake reviews, positive and negative, can be hard to scrub away. A piece of advice for you? Take a broad look. Focus as much on this number, how many reviews a restaurant has, as this number, the actual Yelp score. If specialty pastries are your jam, or if surf and turf is more the rhythm that makes your mouth water, Yelp, viewed with a discerning eye, can help you conquer the food fight. For now, checking that number of reviews that a restaurant has is key to being sure that the overall score you're seeing is accurate. But the review game is changing. In February, for the first time ever, the FTC went after a business for posting fake positive reviews, calling it false advertising. Matt McDonald, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Taekwondo is a martial arts that started in Korea. It is a full contact. It is martial arts that teaches kids discipline to build self-confidence.
It helps you defend yourself. It helps you be more disciplined, more respectful around other people. My favorite part is probably being able to kick people.
Taekwondo is based on a lot of kicking. So it's I would say 90% of Taekwondo is a lot of the kicking part of it. That's where it comes. You learn to use your legs as they were your arms. And that's, for girls, that's really a good benefit because you actually, where you're stronger in your legs, not in your arms.
I've been doing it since I was 3 or 4 years old.
She was like this tiny little 4-year-old girl and just, was fearless at that time. And I vividly remember her, you know, it's like trying to keep up with our demo team. Our demo team are, you know, it's like our black belts, like higher belts. And there's this 4-year-old that, you know, it's like all cute and it's like want to kick and do all keeping up with them.
It's been a lot of hard work, you know, training 4 or 5 days a week. A lot of ups and downs. Confidence was one of my biggest struggles because I would always bring myself down. I hated Taekwondo. I didn't want to do it. I thought I was like, I suck at it, so why do I do it? So I would just go out, I would lose.
You know, it was a time where she struggled a lot when she went into a black belt division, getting kicked in the head. And I think for her, it was a big deal as a little girl, you know, like getting beat up. One thing is like when you're just getting hit in the chest and then you grow and then, okay, the rules change. Now I can get hit in the head. And it was a struggle. And it was like a year that we needed to work with her until she was okay with it. But she trusted us and she keep putting the work, but it was not all easy. It was not just like she's talented and she has put a lot of work, a lot of years.
I'm ranked #1 in the nation for my weight division.
So now she's going to go and represent the USA in the World Championships this August in Uzbekistan. It's a big deal. Like, I don't think there's anyone as a cadet, you know, it's like that age group that has made the US team before and going to the World Championships. So she'll be the first Utah competing in our World Championships right now. So it's incredible.
I guess this was a really big confidence boost and like more knowing that I'm actually good at something. Hey! You fight and you win. Sometimes you don't win, but you know, it's part of the journey, right?
This is Tiny Wood Village.
I used to tell salesmen they wanted to come and visit. I say, sure, come and visit me. And they couldn't find the place.
Tucked off 90th South, practically in the shadow of Rio Tinto Stadium.
A lot of times I don't hear the stadium unless they roar.
For 42 years,
it's only 10 feet wide, 55 feet long, and it's big enough for me.
Michael John Carter has called the village home.
Well, we're mainly concerned about what's going to happen to the village itself.
For a man who's never needed very much, this is a lot to swallow. A massive redevelopment surrounding Rio Tinto Stadium, Sandy calling it a second downtown.
If you get multiple housing options in this area, in the neighborhood, and you have small businesses and institutional businesses both, it will reinvent itself over and over and over again.
Sandy City Council listened to plans to approve a master plan allowing the redevelopment, ultimately voting 4-2 to approve.
The guy that brought a double wide in, he was concerned that, you know, he might have to leave.
Michael and his neighbors know it's a 30 to 40 year plan, and while their short-term fears have eased,
and a lot of these people had just barely moved in, and now they're hearing about maybe the mobile home being sold, and that's just not fair, because apparently that's not the case.
The long-term plan for Tiny Wood Village is far from certain.
Everything has a story, yep.
On the west end of Provo Center Street,
And the stories are the best part.
something is growing.
If you know the story, I mean, it makes it exciting. We have 215 pole signs. That's these big signs on poles.
It's a lot of old
Oh yeah, the Route 66.
with a little new.
And so the poles are tricky because most of those got melted down. Most people just collect signs.
Yeah.
And so they go on walls. And where we collect poles, that's a tricky deal too. We've had poles made and make poles.
A place with this much character is, of course, run by a character. This one named Sparky Sparks.
It's Lakeside Storage, but this is the Lakeside Museum at Lakeside Storage.
His is the world's largest known collection of vintage roadside gasoline signs.
Visible was very important.
These guided the adventures of your grandparents back before phones told us where to go.
Do you know where each one of these items came from?
Yes.
Sparky began collecting a bit in the 1970s and more in recent years.
What's more exciting, having the stuff or finding the stuff?
Finding it and getting the deal is the most exciting of all. Demand has gone up dramatically, but there is no more supply.
The collection is very valuable, but Sparky won't be cashing in.
We've never sold anything and don't intend on selling anything.
Because the memories, he says, are more valuable.
Because when I tell you the story, it's like I'm there.
In places like Buddville, New Mexico.
That's the old original one from the Buddville Trading Post in Buddville, New Mexico, that was owned by Bud and Flossie. He happened to have been murdered in that station, in that trading post, and his Flossie ran it for years after that.
Sometimes Sparky's own story about how these items ended up here is pretty good too, like the time he drove from North Carolina to Utah, making only right turns because of the way the plane he was hauling fit on his trailer.
It's an exact copy of the military model of the P-51 Mustang. Fastest plane made in those days. It was 50 miles an hour faster than the Messerschmitt B-109s that the Germans had, and outgunned them.
Yes, Sparky collects military items too.
Is there one item that you're still looking for above
Yes.
all others?
Yes.
What is it?
I want a tank to go with my half-track. I think I ought to have a tank.
Well, of course.
If you're wondering what a half-track is,
this is the real deal. This fought in the Battle of the Bulge. This machine, right here. And we speak English because of our American heroes.
Sparky is happy to tell you how half-tracks went from the front lines in Europe to farms in the Midwest after World War II. In fact, if you're wondering what any of this is and how it's all connected, that's okay.
The point is to stimulate questions. You can't teach anybody anything if they don't have a question.
And what will it cost you to see Sparky's collection at the Lakeside Museum?
It doesn't cost anything. We don't charge.
Todd Tanner.
We think free is a good price.
Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right. Take it in a bottle or a plastic glass?
Bottle, please.
Cheers.
We might be quirky and different, but we're doing things that are quirky and different and turning out really well.
In case you missed it, there was a special event at Tracy Aviary. There was food and drink, guests dressed up, and only one of them peed on the lawn.
So I get my good side.
Of course, if anyone can get away with that, it would be the guest of honor.
At 60 years old, you can do what you want, right?
Andy the Chilean condor is likely the aviary's single most recognized bird.
To see one become as beloved as he is really pretty cool.
Over the years, thousands of visitors have encountered Andy on his walks with trainer Helen.
Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy. You can call me Andy's sidekick.
Thousands more follow him online, and a few hardcore fans hatched a plan for a special 60th birthday celebration.
I laughed and said that's the silliest thing I've heard of, so I have to do it.
Sage Dawson and Toasted Barrel Brewery developed Andy's Ale.
I gotta try the Andy.
Okay.
It's really good. It's delicious.
Which was unveiled at this gathering.
We met with the aviary staff, determined we wanted to make a beer that represented Andy's heritage, so we decided on getting grains from South America and then also locally grown grains to put into the beer. And then they were insisting on having a black beer, which I thought was really cool because everyone tends to be scared of dark beers, but they wanted it to look like Andy as much as possible.
A drink named for a vulture who can't drink it isn't as strange as it seems when you consider other uniquely Utah beer names. Proper Brewing pays tribute to Real Salt Lake's Kyle Beckerman with Beckerman's Brew. Wasatch Brewing has the popular Polygamy Porter. And Ogden's Own has a gin called Madame Patarini, the stage name Brigham Young's son preferred when he performed as a woman. So a beer for a bird.
So this is a way to celebrate him.
Could just catch on.
I'm getting emails every day across the nation, people asking if they can have the beer or have the beer glasses. And so it's not just here in Utah that it's reached, it's gone national, which has been pretty exciting.
Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News,
Thank you for brewing him a special beer.
Utah.
All right, friend, you were awesome as always. Ready for bed? Yes.
Come in, come in, come in. Let's gather, gather, gather.
Gathering at Washington Square, the crowd sends a message about the inland port, saying it'll impact the environment and West Side communities.
The time is now. The time is now.
The group takes their concerns across the street.
This is attacking our communities on the West Side and communities all over.
They flood the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce lobby. The passion and tension builds.
Then we can stop this before it does the very clear damage that it will do.
On the 6th floor, a group is locked together. Police have a message of their own.
Like, you guys have done your thing, you've been here, the floor's cleared out, there's no reason to go to jail for this. Okay, we're trying to be cool.
The group doesn't leave, they're disrupting business, police say. Officers make a move.
Put your hands behind your back.
Down in the lobby, protesters link arms and refuse to budge.
Stand up!
Backup arrives with no one dispersing. Salt Lake PD says they need to take physical measures, using force to push people out. They make more arrests. 8 people when all is said and done. Some people ended up bruised and bleeding. Everyone is out, the doors close. As police haul the arrested away, their declaration stands.
The Inland Port Project is polluting Salt Lake City.
Make a path.